My name is Alice Cunningham. I am with the Shumei International. I'm the executive director of the International Affair for the Shumei International, which has an NGO status with the United Nations. As a representative of Shumei, I have been promoting ecological farming and lifestyle that is in harmony with nature. Today, I'd like to talk about the fundamental principle of natural agriculture, because I believe that can be applied to our daily lives and to improve our health and the well-being of the communities. So let me share my screen. Hope you can see. Okay, good. All right. So my title is Reconnect with Nature through Shumei Natural Agriculture, because I truly believe the natural agriculture let us connect to nature. Oops. Uh-oh. Somehow it is not working. Let's see. Somehow my screen is not working. Wonder why. Oh, let me go again. Okay, good. Oh, yeah, I guess. All right. Anyway, so how the natural agriculture started is natural agriculture movement started in Japan in the early 20th century by a fellow named Mokichi Okada. And then it was a response to the society's lost connection with nature. And then also the negative impact of industrial agriculture, which was happening during that time. And he felt it was very important that we get back to more, recognize the interconnectedness of the nature and try to be more sustainable and in tune with natural cycle. So he developed himself this natural agriculture. So what is Shumei Natural Agriculture? It is a way of cultivating wholesome food without using any agrochemicals or additives, fertilizers, any manure, anything. And then also it uses the heirlooms and indigenous seeds. But more than it is a food, way of food production, it is a way of life in harmony with nature. The core principle of natural agriculture is the overriding respect and concern for nature. So what is the key components? The first, most of all, is trusting the soil. When I say the trusting the soil when it's in a pure state. When it's a pure state, the soil has everything that all the crops needed in order to grow. And then the second is saving seeds. The preserving the purity and diversity of seed is very important. And then the third is actually a pure heart. But before that, I think we have to understand that we really need to respect nature's ability to adapt. And then by doing so, some of the Shumei Natural Agriculture farmers are actually doing the continuous cropping, which I will get into it later. And then maintaining the balance of the ecosystem is really, it's important. And then when I say the ecosystem, that actually includes us. That's why we have to have a pure heart to be in balance, that we are part of this ecosystem, the planet. So pure soil, pure seeds, and pure heart. So when I talk about the pure soil, we believe that it has the inherent power to produce everything, which means that our soil has everything. We do not need to add anything. Yes, you might think some of the soils, and no, it's degraded, or maybe your soil is not as good as other parts, other people's soil, whatever. But if it's in a pure state, it has all the nutrients. Therefore, we do not add anything, because we believe by adding it, it actually weakens the ability for the soil to rejuvenate. Because soil has all these fungi and bacteria and nematodes and protozoa and all these microorganisms that works. Each one of them, every one of them has a role to play, and then it's all balanced. But when you add anything by human being adding it and then interfering the soil's natural cycle, then we're actually, instead of making it better, it's actually destroying its balance. Therefore, we believe it's important to keep the soil in as pure state as possible, because soil will find its own balance. So some people might say, when you actually harvest, we're taking out the nutrients. That's why you have to add the nitrogen into it and or phosphorus or the potassium and all that. But we're really doing is a guessing. So the human being is trying to interfere with this natural cycle, but the soil will know perfectly exactly how much they need to rejuvenate, and they can. So it's better to leave it to the soil to do its own thing. And then natural disturbance happens in the soil is fine, but a disturbance caused by the human is usually more detrimental to the soil's health, because it's interfere with soil's ability to restore its health. So we only do mulching, the cover crops, in order to keep the soil moist and temperate, rather than using as a fertilizers. We'll never use the compost to add as a nutrient, but it's really to keep the soil better conditions and a better environment for the soil to rejuvenate on its own. And because of this, obviously the crops in the soil has to grow their roots deeper, because there are no nutrients in the topsoil only, but it's a whole area. So they might sometimes have to go very, very deep in order to get the nutrients in the water. So I hope you can see this, but as you can see, the root system, it's so different. The one on the left, obviously, is natural agriculture. On the right is definitely conventional. Here we go again. It stopped. I don't know what's happening here. Okay. I can't somehow do this. Oh, there. Okay, good. Sorry about that. All these technologies. I'm actually trying to do this from Japan, so maybe the Wi-Fi is not working well here. Anyway, another thing about the fertilizers or any the additives that we talk about to the soil is people might think this actually will help the crops, but it's actually weakens the crop's ability as well, because we're actually making the dependency to the crops. Basically, we're spoiling the crops, because when you give the fertilizers, they know they don't have to work hard. That's why, it's better not to give anything, because then the crops will become somewhat it's a tough love, but you actually get, the crops to be more resilient, and then definitely their roots goes down to find all the nutrients. And then another unfortunate side effects of the fertilizer, we believe, is fertilizer actually attracts the insects. We do not consider any insects as pests, because we believe each and every insect has a role to play. But when it's imbalance in that environment, then you might get the infestations. So with natural agriculture, not only that we advise people to look into your own gardens or your farm, but we definitely tell people to look for the whole health of the whole ecosystem of your surrounding area, the forest, or if you have the fields nearby. And then that's why we only use, even for the mulching, we only use the foliage in the surrounding area, because the whole ecosystem affects the health of the soil. The second part of the importance of the natural agriculture is obviously saving seeds. And then, as you know, this is like a chart that shows about how much of diversity we have lost. 100 years ago, we had about more than 300 varieties of the corns, and now we're down to 12. And then like the lettuce is 497, the cabbage is 500, and all down to 36 or 26. So as you can see, it's a lot of diversity has been lost. And then this is in the 1996, we had all these seeds company, but all these blue dots were all seeds company. But now the seeds are controlled by pretty much the 3 giant corporations. So the seeds are the source of life. And then if we lose these diversities, then we lose the not just the varieties of the crops, but that we actually is impacting the entire ecosystem, the biodiversity. So it's so important to save seeds, and especially saving the heirloom indigenous seeds, because those are the ones who fits the local climate and local the weather patterns of your area. So we definitely promote you to look into these local indigenous seeds. And then by preserving these wide range of heirloom varieties, that not just only that it will increase the diversity, but these all crops is actually connected to your culture. So your whole community's culture is also being saved. And then this can be passed down to the generation after generation. And then by saving seeds, obviously the seeds has a memory, so it will remember. And then sometimes this also affects the people. If you purchase a seed, even if it's organic seeds, you don't know where these seeds were actually grown. So it could be grown in a very cold area when your area is warm, or the other way around. So it takes time for these seeds to adapt. But if you have the seeds from your local region, then that means you could actually get the benefits of the local seeds. And then seed savings supports the biodiversity. And then this is Dr. Vandana Shiva's word, but she says the seed is created to renew, to multiply, to be shared, and to spread. Totally, because one seed can produce lots and lots of crops. So this is actually a blessing we're receiving. And then with this adaptation of the seed and soil will actually makes possible to have this continuous cropping. Natural agriculture farmers do continuous cropping, which means you're growing the same crops in the same area every year. By doing so, every year, these seeds and both soil and seeds adapt to each other. So they will become more stronger, and then they'll have the memory. So what kind of weather patterns and what kind of the soil conditions, the flood or whatever. So it will be much, much healthier and then resilient. I just wanted to show some the case, but the one in the Shumei is and the next is a conventional. But this was the same, obviously it's right next to each other, and they're growing these rice fields, and they had a hurricane. And then what happens is, even the Shumei's crop, the rice was flattened at one point, but they all came back, but the conventional one did not come back. And then another one is, this is infestations. The one in the line by the red area, that's where the natural agriculture, and then surrounding is conventional farming. And this plant hopper is some type of the insect that came from the Southeast Asia. It's actually devastated the most of the conventional, but somehow they don't touch the natural agriculture, because the natural agriculture crops are much more resilient to these pests and then disease. So when you transition to natural agriculture, the key is to really obviously observe and then understand your surrounding. But another thing you need to know is probably the patience, because like I said before, the soil could be not in the best state of your area, which means you may have to wait at the gradual the improvements of your soil. You could bring in some good soil, but it's better that if you wait it and then take time, but definitely it will become better. You can probably start with like residuum or something to develop your soil, but certainly it will get better. But the key thing is to really observe. and then really learn what kind of system, what kind of cycle goes in around your area, and what kind of foliage is around, and what kind of, so you really pay attention to everything and listen and observe. And then by doing so, you definitely will learn and find out what works, because your soil may have more fungi than the bacteria, or the other way around. If you have more bacteria, you're going to have more weeds. So you do want to bring in the foliage to balance this, so that you have a better sort of like 50-50 balance ratio is usually better for the most of the crops. But if you're growing like berries or something, it's probably better to have more fungi. So definitely you need to know what kind of soil conditions your area is. By finding that, you definitely will know, and then you learn. And by respecting this life cycle, you definitely become more in tune, and then you find out what will be the works best for you, your area. And this is one thing I wanted to show is I talked about the pure soil, pure seed, and pure heart. But when it's pure, it's beautiful. And this is actually, some lab was able to do the crystallizations of the essence of the natural agriculture wine and the conventional wine. The one on the right is obviously natural agriculture. One on the left is conventional. I mean, how beautiful the natural agriculture one is. It's because it is in a pure state. There is nothing, no chemicals or anything is added. And then so you find these things. You may not see it, but it's actually what's in there. It has a life force, it's beauty. So you have to respect this. And then you have to appreciate this, and then you have to have the gratitude to this. So pure heart, your thoughts is very important, because by putting so, it will respond. Another interesting example is some people you may know, but Dr. Emoto, who actually this special molecule thing to show the water molecules. When you say like nice thing about thank you, I love you, then it forms beautiful crystallization. But if you say some hatred word or something, it becomes really distorted. So even each molecule actually responds. And these are water molecules. Just like our body, 70% of our body is water. So we respond to these nice words and nice tone, beautiful thing. So everybody, every life responds to beauty. So that's another thing. It's very important with natural agriculture. So the gratitude and the appreciation of beauty is very key ingredients in a sense for the natural agriculture. But definitely the natural agriculture cultivates the appreciation of the beauty. And then by doing so, you actually probably recognize the beauty in every aspect of life, not only the farming, but the finding the people's heart, and then finding in other parts of the daily lives. So that's why by reconnecting with nature will definitely improve our health and then the well-being of the society. So we should definitely learn from nature and then pay attention and observe. Nature can teach us everything, and that's the fundamental principle of natural agriculture. And then I hope many of you will be interested enough to start practicing natural agriculture. Thank you.